Is there such a thing as ethical overvaluing in a estate agency? Today, I'm joined by Toby Phillips, who is the boss man of Martin & Co. and the Xperience franchise group. Toby, is there such a thing as ethical overvaluing? Talk to me.
In my world, absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw a question back to you, Chris,
Yeah,
on
go on.
ethical overvaluing, because I think it's a great phrase, by the way. And I'm probably going to borrow that forever. Have you ever sold something you haven't got?
No.
Okay. So this is where ethical overvaluing kicks in. If you want to get a viewing on something, you have to have the instruction.
Yeah.
If you want to get a price reduction, you have to get the instruction. If you want to command more applicants to come into your business, you have to have more instructions.
Yes.
So
if you ain't got it, you can't sell it.
You got it. So for me, and I'll start the conversation with a very rule of thumb. For me, it's all about two sides of a triangle. My triangle has fee, motivation, and price. My golden rule, and I can be challenged to the cows come home on this, if two sides of that triangle match, any two sides, that instruction is coming home with me. And I would never walk away. If I've got price and the vendor's motivated, thanks very much, even if the fee's lower than what I want. If it's got fee and it's got price, but they're a little bit, well, I might be doing this next year, that's coming home. Two sides of the triangle. What I will be doing though, as part of my process when I'm booking market appraisals and my staff booking market appraisals, is the partnership agreement I enter into with the vendor. So they know we're doing this together. We are doing this over a period of time, and I've got the vendor's expectations fully in agreement with me before I take that property on the market. I think when we get price reductions, if they're not set up from day one, they're just your next withdrawal. So for me, ethical overvaluing, absolutely. I wish I'd known that phrase 25 years ago, because he who has or she who has is king or queen. You have to have it. Two sides of the triangle, you'd never walk away. So Chris, so that's my view. It'd be lovely and really interesting. What's your view on ethical overvaluing or overvaluing?
I think it all comes down to the intent of the estate agent, okay? Everyone thinks I'm against overvaluing, and I do talk about it a lot in my posts. And I've through the help of 20EA, I've created some fantastic stats that prove, if a property sells within 25 days of a property coming on the market, its fall through rate is 6%. If a property takes more than 100 days to sell, its fall through rate is 44%, which is huge, isn't it?
Massive.
Okay. And I think we can put that down to overvaluing. Is there such thing as ethical overvaluing? Well, that's a phrase that I've come up with recently.
Yeah.
And I think there is such a thing as ethical overvaluing. As long as you tell the vendor on the valuation, we'll try it at 300, but if we doesn't work after X number of weeks, we will come down to this price.
You're agreeing it from day one.
Yes, that is ethical overvaluing.
That puts the word ethical in it.
Yes.
If not, it's just overvaluing.
If you're just doing it to get the listing to hit a target or market share, which again, a lot of firms, especially the corporate firms, not all of them tend to have, and then you're allowing the negs to do a salami slice off the price and sign them up for 26 weeks, and you're just doing it with the intent to hit a bonus or something like that, that's unethical overvaluing, in my opinion.
I would agree with you 100%.
It's interesting. I'm sure you're aware, each week I have an analysis. I do the UK property market stat show, where we spend the first 40 minutes looking at the UK property market, and then we spend 20 minutes deep diving, looking at 5 years worth of stats from a particular town. And what you tend to find, I'm making sweeping statements here, is a lot of the larger firms do have a higher propensity to overvalue and have a lower exchange to listing ratio.
Yes.
Okay. There is a direct link between the two, that overvaluing and exchange to listing, which ultimately is the game. I think it's atrocious that we only exchange 53% of the properties that we put on the market. Now, again, I know some of those 47% might go on with another agent. I'm not you know, they should have sold with the first bloody agent.
Yeah.
I was babysitting some agents from Australia a couple of months ago. They couldn't believe, you know, 90% is considered low.
Well, also, Chris, there's another factor for you to look into this as well. And forgive me, you may already have it on your stats because I know they're pretty comprehensive. When you reduce a property, there'll be a degradation on your fee.
Yes.
From instruction to exchange. So out of that 53%, if you are not ethically overvaluing, i.e. your vendor hasn't agreed to this from day one, your fee at the end will be lower. So it's the only industry in the world that you can quote to do a job. You will do that job by over the period of weeks, and you will charge less money than you quoted to charge at the first place. So if by ethically overvaluing, you can be very ethical around your fee structure by charging a fixed fee based upon price. So what we achieve will be a pounds and pence figure. The other part, Chris, is really interesting listening to you about when you're going back to the vendor. One of the best processes that I believe in is if I come to take your house on, when I come to do a review with you based on our agreement, I will be back here at the same time in 2 weeks' time to review the marketing, review what I've done, review my efforts, and to review that we are doing the right thing by adjusting the price. It's a face-to-face meeting, just like the first day.
But most valuers don't even ring up the bloody vendors,
Exactly.
let alone you can go and sit on the sofa.
And if you want to take it one step further, you book the revisit before you sign the agency agreement.
This is old school estate agency.
Exactly.
You know, I have many discussions online where I say, if you put it on the market, you do the vendor contact. And then I get some bullshit about, well, the neg has a greater relationship. No, that's not the job of the neg.
No. And that's the difference. I've come into your house today, Chris.
You're trusting me.
And I'm giving you the kitchen sink. I'm going to give you gold today, gold tomorrow to get your house on the market. I am going to give you everything. Then I'm going to disappear. However, unlike every other agent, I'm here to say, right, we've priced it together. We've gone through the first 2 weeks, the golden weeks of marketing, whether they're going to be low key or we're going to fully expose you, because we can mess around with that a little bit against your price. But on the 2nd of September at 2 o'clock, because I know you're always here at 2 o'clock, that's when we're going to sit back down here in exactly the same positions and say, have I done what I said I was going to do? And you, Mr. Vendor, have you done what you said? Then we can say, right, can we be strategic, leave the price where it is because the feedback's been brilliant? Or, as we first thought, the pricing was out of sync with the marketplace. And
But we had to have a go.
We had to go. But what we haven't done, and this may be something you agree, and this is where the valuations are so important, how they're set up. As you know, we didn't put it onto all the portals. We didn't expose it to the market to start with. What we did is we've just phoned, because my negotiators know their applicants, we just phoned selected applicants, hopefully local house to sales, but we just phoned selected people about your property so that actually when we did launch it to the market, we launched it after the initial 2 weeks and at the new price.
Won't the vendor come back and say, well, how can we know I've put it on for 300 if I'm not put it on Rightmove?
Because what we've done is we've said, look, everything tells us from comparables to everything else that we are going to be the most expensive house in the road. The first 2 weeks is the most important time of selling any possible house. If you would like us, what we will do though is we're going to go at the world record price, because we do have 4 or 5 people who will view this property. What we suggest though is as soon as it hits the portals, we need to make sure the price is as competitive as it can be in the marketplace we're in. But what we can do, rather than reduce it, we'll put it on for an offers over 290 as opposed to going for the flat 300. But all these agreements, and there's loads of levers we're going to pull for you, Mr. Vendor, have to be in line with your wishes. So you know every step of the way. But the most important thing, Chris, coming back to it, is I'm going to sit in this front room and face the music or drink champagne. But the one thing we're going to do is we're going to know that we're going to change that price if we need to, because I'm sitting here telling you it's not a phone call, it's not a Rightmove report, it's not an email.
It's not Floss.
No.
That's never seen your house.
It's me, because I was the one who told you.
I'm taking accountability. It's interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, please do go and have a look. But there's a big agent in Southend who
Suited.
are massive. They overvalue like Billio, but their exchange ratio to listings is hugely brilliant. They obviously must do the stuff you're talking about.
And it's set up from that negotiator who's been with me for 2 weeks. They know how to book a market appraisal, because 50% of my instructions and sales are won at the booking of the market appraisal. Everything we do guides us into that process to ethically overvalue.
It's not just the valuer. The neg has to set it up particularly well.
From day one, the whole office is in sync. So when that valuer is on the doorstep, we are 50% ahead from all the processes we do.
What does the neg need to be saying at this point?
So the neg, it's not just, you know, and when we mystery shop, we get a range of name and numbers and 3 o'clock, to what timescales are we looking for? What is it you liked about the house when you bought it? Talk to me about the alterations you made. What's the best thing you've done to the house? What's the reason for the move? Where are you looking to move to? Right, okay, let's now talk about what you owe on the house. I want that negotiator to create and seize the information that no other agent is going to seize. So when I phone Floss, she says, oh, great, I can do 3. Chris will come around at 3 o'clock. What's the name and number? What number are you? No problem at all. That's a poor market appraisal to a market appraisal where we are not only booking it, we are then hand delivering that evening to say, hi, my name's Chris, I'm not coming in this evening. And I do a whole session on the MA booking, because I'm a massive believer.
Is the valuer dropping the free val letter?
Absolutely, that night, out of hours, they're dropping the free letter. So I could talk about this all day, Chris, because I do a whole session. One of my big beliefs, and again, this is where I've been trained over the years by some great employers, 50% of valuer there isn't such a thing as a world-class valuer, but there is such a thing as a world-class market appraisal. If the market appraisal is booked correctly, 50% of my job, pre and post, is done. It's just I've got to get the price right and the pitch right. But if my pre works right, my post works right.
So the listing is one pre and post, not actually.
No, it's not one in the house. It's one pre and post. And the part in the house is we've already gained the vendor's confidence and trust before we've even walked over the threshold.
It's interesting that, you know, a phrase I like is that credibility is gained by the questions you ask, not by the statements you make.
Exactly right. When I walk over the threshold, I just can't get it wrong. Now, if I'm really scruffy or turn up late or do all those things, then all that hard work's gone. But I know that my negotiator will book that market price exactly how I want it. My part of the partnership agreement is to get it on at the right fee, the right price, so they can earn commission.
Toby, thank you for your time today.
Pleasure.
Insightful.
Thank you, Chris.